Yes, here, how can we change most of the problems that are being caused by mental illness? What we call them, you've been brainwashed with a certain information that has been programmed in your system, and this kind of information is affecting your physical life and spiritual life. How do you change about that? Because some of the problem are not witchcraft. Some of the problem or sickness are not sickness. They are coming from your mind. They have been programmed in your system. And that's why most of the problem you are going through, when you look at them keenly, they are all of them affected your mind. So come on. How do you deal with the world of mind? It depends with how you twist, you change your mind just a little bit. When you try to change the way you think, when you try to change the way you reason, when you try to change the way you view things, when you try to change your own ways, and you take anything that you view as negative and you start viewing these things as positive, and you neutralize, means you try to bring what we call equilibrium in your system. You neutralize any information you get, you neutralize anything that come and get into your mind. The mind is a slave of your art, to the art. The mind is a slave to the art. The art is the master. It always stores the information that the mind has brought to it. That's why somebody will diagnose you with cancer, and sometimes you yourself, you don't have that thing in your system, and you find out that the programmed that has been programmed in your mind is going to bring that cancer into your system, and truly sometimes is not the true diagnosis, and you get affected through mind. So this is the kind of information you receive. You have to neutralize this kind of information to make you know how to handle the art and the system within your body. Let us gather here and talk a little bit. Most of the sickness you get through in the hospitals, most of them, I can't say most of them, are because of lack of information, lack of awareness. Some of the sickness can be what do you call, re-engineered. Some of them can be resolved back. Some of them can be taken care of and not to be taken in a serious ways. When you take a sick person to the ward hospitals, automatically the sickness will continue because of the kind of environment, the kind of people around them. When you meet with, you are on a ward and you see one of your neighbor, the next bed has died, automatically the faith of healing inside you will go down. How do you solve this? How do you solve something that has been programmed in your system? When somebody has come with a certain information that your brother is bewitching you, and sometimes it's not true. It's a certain man of God who say that to you because maybe that is what they saw, or that is what they think about that. How do you solve that? Because that is your brother. How do you solve this? Maybe somebody is telling you, lying to you, that your mother, your father, your grandmother, they have taken your destiny. How do you handle that? How do you handle these things with your mind? How do you neutralize these things so that it doesn't affect you mentally, psychologically, physically, and spiritually. Remember, life is spiritual. Everything we go with it. Every time we walk, every time we eat, whatever we breathe, whatever we consume in our system are spiritual. Most of the percentage is a spiritual life. How do you deal with this kind of things when you are going through a certain depression in your life? How do you deal with this? When you have a depression in your life, how do you deal with this? When you start living in illusion life, when you start thinking that nobody wants you, when you start thinking that you've been rejected, when you start thinking that people doesn't value you, when you start thinking that you don't value yourself, when you start losing the focus of you and forgetting about yourself, when you start thinking negative about yourself, how do you handle such kind of things personally when you are very sober mentally? Life is spiritual. You have to have the balancing. There, whatever is up should balance what is downside here. So negativity and positive, there was what we call the neutral energy. You have to neutralize them. Both energy has to be neutralized. Don't just take negative to be negative. Don't take positive to be positive.